This is a video I've been wanting to make for a while now, but recently I've heard a lot of stories of people getting injured practicing their layouts, and this is why I'm finally actually getting around to doing it. I want to go through 5 key areas that I think are important to consider to help lower your risk of injury during layouts. So this isn't a video so much about technique and how to do a great layout, because there are plenty of videos on that, but instead I want to help you figure out the areas that you might need to work on in the gym in order to be able to make your layouts better, more effective and less injury prone. The first area we're going to look at is around the head and neck. So in order to be able to do a successful layout, we need to be able to bring the head back like that, and do it while we're actually horizontal, so say lying on the ground. We want to be able to lift our head up and back, and we want to be able to do it pain-free. The reason being able to do it pain-free is so important is because if the body knows it's going to be in pain if it does a certain movement, it tends to avoid it, and then it tends to compensate in some other ways around it, or maybe it just doesn't do it and you end up hitting your face off the ground. So we need not just mobility, but strength in this position as well. The next area is actually coupled with the neck extension. It's thoracic extension. So that's like around our rib cage, our mid and upper back. We want to be able to lean back, but actually again, we're going to be horizontal, so we need to be able to arch up with our mid and upper back. What's really important here is that we're not using our low back to do it. We want our low back pretty relaxed in this position. We want it to just be ready to take impact when we hit the ground, but it doesn't need to be doing much arching at all. One exercise that you can do to help practice that and to build the mobility and the strength for it is simply the Superman on the ground. Again, here you want to be making sure that you're just lifting off the mid and upper back and not using your low back to extend up. So when you're doing it, it should feel like your ribs come up, but your belly button basically can stay on the floor. Now for our shoulders, what we need to be able to do is essentially get our arms by our ears up like this. When you are laying out, your head is back, so it might not look like your arms are by your ears, but actually to test yourself, that's what you want to be able to see. It also will maximize your range of catching, because if you're able to reach out with full flexion, so full extension of the elbow as well, then you're going to be able to attack more discs that way. If you don't have full thoracic extension, which we talked about just before, then you're going to struggle in this one as well. So you need to sort out the ribcage and thoracic vertebrae first, and then your shoulders after. Some people are actually stuck in extension though. So if you're that type and your ribs are sticking out all the time, you need to learn how to relax the ribcage down and then allow the shoulder blade to move more freely from a better starting point. You'll notice you're possibly restricted in your shoulders as you lay out if you're constantly landing on your elbow, because if you don't have full shoulder mobility, you're probably bending at the elbow as you catch, and then you're hitting that point before the rest of your body is able to, before your wrists are able to. So that's another key indicator of you having shoulder issues. Next up, we're going to look at the hips. So the hips are really important here to be able to get into extension. So if you're looking at a layout photo, you want to see that the knee isn't ahead of the pelvis or the hips. So the knee should be in line or slightly behind. So we really want to see that those feet are kicked up behind the body. If they're not, and if the knee is trading in front of the hips, you're going to probably hit the knee off the ground first. And that's where we get a lot of people saying our knee hit the ground, or they always get swollen knees after layouts. And this is sometimes though more a protective mechanism, so this may be less about actual strength and mobility issues and more about teaching yourself to feel comfortable with getting your torso to hit the ground first. So it'll help to do that Superman exercise as well, because if you lift the legs behind you off the floor, you're getting into that extra hip extension. Another way to check is the classic bird dog exercise. The way I like to isolate the legs to really focus on the movement of the leg instead. So we keep the elbows down flat on the floor and work at just one leg at a time, trying to lift it up, and just feel the glutes move and don't let the low back move. So number 5 is all about being able to accept the impact that you're putting your body. To dissipate this force well, we want to spread the reaction from the ground throughout as much of our body as possible and to avoid landing on our joints. So we do this at first by getting our wrists to hit the ground first, our wrists and forearms, and then quickly followed by our torso, generally the lower half of your torso, and then your chest following after, and then thighs, and then full body is on the ground. If you're familiar with layouts already, you'll probably have recognized, doing them on a slippery surface, a muddy ground, or the beach is a lot easier than a hard surface, and this is just quite simply because the sand is able to take some of that force, and so is the mud and the slipperiness, because there's so little friction and it's so soft, so it just takes some of the impact with it. But on a hard surface, your muscles have to do all that work, so you need to be able to stabilize quite quickly on that impact. If you're landing on your joints first, that's just going to cause you issues, and it's going to be, if it's repetitive, you're just going to cause repetitive inflammation and swelling on those joints, or grazes on the elbows and knees, and it's just going to be irritating and also affect the actual movement of your muscles around that joint after, because you're affecting the mechanoreceptors. If there's swelling there, you're reducing its potential range of motion, and you're going to just affect it in the long run negatively for your overall performance. So really do work on your technique as well. To help create the body tension, you could do chin-ups with toes pointed, legs straight, so that you're actually able to feel tension throughout the whole body. It's a really good full body exercise where you can create maximal tension through basically the whole body throughout. So lastly, some bids just are a little bit awkward, and you still want to make a competitive play on the disc, and that's fine. What I would say with regards to that is still aim to be as mobile and stable in as many positions as you can. Variety is the key to being a better performer and to keeping your body more robust, so it's less likely to get injured. If it's exposed to a brand new situation or position that it hasn't seen before, it may not handle it so well. So you want to be practicing all sorts of positions, movements, loaded, unloaded, fast, slow, in the gym, in order to prepare your body for any sort of new environment and impact or position. Secondly, even if you have to push off or reach out awkwardly, you should still aim to land on in the same way as you've been practicing before, so onto the torso, straight and parallel with the ground. To be honest, if you can't really control the flight of your body in the air to that extent, you possibly shouldn't be making those bids in the first place. You're just putting your own body at risk, and then if there's someone near you while you make the play, putting their body at risk too, which isn't really fair. So there are loads of photos and videos online of people laying out, so go check them out, see do they tick off the boxes I described above, and then have a look at your own form as well. See, are there certain areas that you can improve now to make yourself better at laying out and also decrease your risk of injury?